Right now is spring football. You guys have been around here and been around me long enough to know that we typically in spring football are building the foundation for the season, right? We're trying to develop a football team. We're trying to develop players. We're also really focused on the phases that we're focused on in spring. Punt, field goal block. Those are the things we do every day. Okay, every day, those are the schemes that we install. Kickoff, kick return, punt return, that gets implemented later in fall camp from a scheme standpoint, but we work on those skills throughout spring ball as well. So that's kind of where we're at. We've got a lot of young guys, as you've probably heard from both Brian and from Phil. A lot of young guys trying to fill in spots, find roles for them. It's a great group of kids. Great group of kids that are trying to learn and trying to push forward. From the specialist standpoint, including the returners, we have guys that have game experience, which is good. You know, at every position going down that list. But you know, with Tori at punting, been trying to give more experience to some younger guys with Max Hoskins. Aaron Blom's been punting and punting very, very well actually, which is a surprise. Very happy with where he's at. Kicking, both Drew and Aaron have been kicking well. So that's a positive. And then with the snappers, Elkin and Reardon. And I think with Elkin, you guys have all heard me talk before. I think he's a quiet leader. I think he does a really good job as far as calming the room and getting everyone on track. I think we've got a really good player out there. And as far as returners, you know, everyone wants to know who's the punt returner, who's the kick returner. Right now, I think we all saw what Cooper did last year. You know, last year's last year, but I'd be surprised if we don't start off the season with him as the punt returner going into the first game. But with him, Wick has done a good job. Caden Wheatgen's been a pleasant surprise here this spring. And then also some younger guys, TJ Hall, and then TJ Hall's done a good job. Xavier's working back there a little bit, and then Deshaun Lee is a young guy, a freshman right now, just trying to learn and does a pretty good job. So I think we'll see where they're at kind of as we move forward. And kick return, you know, really those same guys I mentioned, and also Caleb, and then with Caleb, Leishon, and then Xavier added that as well. So it's kind of where we're at right now. The other part, you know, we talk about there's a bunch of new faces or guys that haven't necessarily been in games. Which is at times can be a little bit nerve-wracking, a little bit unsettling, but I go back to year 2017, 2018, right? We had a lot of some faces that are up on that wall right there, like how the heck are we going to replace Josh Jackson? Like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with Josie Jewell, one of the greatest linebackers in Iowa football history? Like, how are we going to replace those guys? What are we going to do? You graduate two tight ends to the first round of the NFL with Hawkinson and Fant. Like, what are we going to do? Well, as I sit and I look and you think about it, well, at one time we had insert in Josh Jackson's role a young Riley Moss. Okay, a guy we've never even heard of. I didn't know this kid at all coming out of high school. I think he's going to walk on. He's going to join us in January, and bang, he's in our drills in fall camp as a freshman in 2018 and playing his butt off, and has done that all the way through. And you know, you can see where he's going to go here next weekend. And then you look at Josie, like, man, Josie, phenomenal linebacker, phenomenal leader. Bo Bauer, Kevin Ward, those guys are in that linebacker group. You know, don't want to speak for Seth, but he's probably thinking something like that. How do you replace all these guys? Well, insert a young Jack Campbell, a young Seth Benson. You go down that list. And the tight ends, right, we were like, man, what are we going to do? Graduating two tight ends. You know, two tight ends, man, they're both playing the NFL, doing well. Well, here's a young kid named Sam Laporta. So it's kind of where we're at right now. We're replacing all these guys that have been phenomenal players for us, including Monty Potabom, Kayvon Merriweather. You know, go down the list of those guys. But we have the guys on this team. We just don't know their stories yet. So it's kind of trying to figure that out throughout spring and through the summer. But I think you know, everyone's been working hard, excited about where we're at, where we're going, and just trying to see where we finish here on Saturday, and then pushing this thing forward.